What does a chess game, a trip to Paris, and Ian Nepomniachtchi have in common? All of them combined together make sure that you and I will never fall under time pressure again. Today, I'm going to offer you a hack which will train your mind in such a way that you will never ever fall into time pressure ever again. I have personally tried this hack, but it only works if you add that secret ingredient which I will share at the end. So, without further ado, let's go. Ian Nepomniachtchi is one chess player who's known to move very fast. A few years back, he was asked in a post-game interview what was his secret to never falling under time pressure. He revealed that early in his career, he used to struggle with the clock. Every second game, he would be completely winning, but would end up losing on time or blundering because of the clock. But his coach offered him a very unique hack. In a classical game, Nepo would roughly have 90 minutes at the start of his game. His coach suggested he simply ditch the last 30 minutes and play as if he only had 60 minutes on the clock. And this mindset revolutionized Nepo's chess career. When I heard this advice, I was really skeptical, just like you are probably right now. If it was only that easy were my exact thoughts. But I was curious, so I tried it in my own games. I told myself I'm only going to use 60 minutes and I'm going to dish the last 30 minutes. But it never seemed to work until one day something changed. I was playing a chess tournament in Paris. This was February 2019, the good old days of the baguettes and the croissant when COVID-19 was not in the dictionary. The last day of the tournament was March 3rd, and my round was supposed to start at 11 a.m. The twist, my flight to India was on the same day at 3:30 p.m. I was ranked 4th in the tournament. A win in the final round would mean possibly even winning the tournament or at least a prize in the top 3. But if I play my game too long, then I might just miss my flight or might have to resign in a possibly winning position as I would not have time to wait. That would be so weird. And yeah, do I just give up the final game? Do I just go home without even trying? I did not. For the first time in my life, I was absolutely forced to play the game of chess really fast. I knew that the airport was 30 minutes away from the venue. I also knew a normal check-in time for an international flight in Europe would be 2 hours. So I basically had to leave the tournament hall by 1 p.m. regardless of what happens. So I literally had 2 hours to finish a chess game which would normally last 4 to 5 hours. And that meant I did not have more than a few seconds to think for any move. I arrived at the tournament hall literally with my suitcase, kept it next to the chessboard and started thinking. My opponent here is a French guy named Dorel Herve, and I played d4 and he played the move c5. Exactly what I wanted, a dynamic opening. Normally d5 here would be the best move, but I did not want to enter complications. So I played the move c3, he took d5, knight c3, knight f6, bishop f4, knight c6, and now e3. We have the exchange Slav. That was a good option for me because this is kind of simple to understand. After bishop to f5, I knew the opening theory so far. So queen b3 here, I'm playing with 1 second. Every move comes with 1 second. Knight a5, queen a4 check, bishop d7, queen to c2. This entire check maneuver was to force the bishop back to d7. So now when black plays e6, the bishop is locked behind the pawn chain. Now black plays rook to c8, and now is where I had to start thinking on my own. While I was playing quickly, my opponent was taking his time, sipping his coffee, taking deep breaths. Meanwhile, I was looking at the clock every 5 minutes. And of course, he cannot figure out that I absolutely have to leave in a few minutes. If he knew that fact, all he had to do was drag the game long enough when I would be forced to resign. So I had to act as if I was not in a hurry. Here I developed with the move bishop d3 and he played the move e6, finally locking his bishop behind. And now because I don't want to allow knight h5 ideas, I play the move h3, kind of giving my bishop in safe square on h2. Now he plays knight to c4. So clearly his play is banking on the queen side. There are many tactics in the air. And here, the normal move is knight f3, which is the best move, but I had no time to calculate what happens. Bishop b4, then I castle, maybe he takes on b2, I sack a pawn. No time for bullshit. I played the move knight e2 in literally just a few seconds. I had no time to calculate. But I noticed I was much more focused than usual. After my opponent's move b5, I quickly played a3, and after a5, I was very quick in my calculations and found that bishop c4 was the best move. And by the time he played rook takes c4, I had 90 minutes on the clock. That meant I had not used up a single minute because there was a 30-second increment. I was playing on my increment. And can you guess how much time he had on his clock? He had 11 minutes remaining. It's only been 14 moves. He has used up a majority chunk of his time. Because I was playing so fast, I thought he would also be tempted into playing fast. But instead, he was getting intimidated that this was all my opening preparation. He was getting scared and using extra time on his clock. And all he had remaining was 11 minutes. When suddenly it hit me, Nepo was absolutely correct. I had not done his experiment in the correct way earlier. Earlier, when I used to sit down and think, okay, I'm not going to use my last 30 minutes, subconsciously, I kind of knew if anything went down, if I needed that extra time, it was there. So I never really pushed myself to basically just go all in. So to actually imbibe that hack, I had to sit down at the chessboard with the attitude that if my time falls below 30 minutes, I am going to even resign the game. That was the attitude I needed. Imagine playing a classical game and going below 30 minutes and resigning, going back to your room and realizing how you've lost the game because you could not meet up your own setup goals. That is going to hit you so hard and you will never ever make that mistake again. And that's how you get rid of your time trouble issues. Here I knew I had a flight. I had to stay focused. It did not matter if a dinosaur walked past me. I was not going to get distracted. My calculation was faster. I was ignoring all the useless problems. Sometimes we have this habit of thinking, is h3 better or g3 better, which are not going to change the evaluation of the position too much. And I was not wasting time on such decisions. I wasn't worried about what I'm going to have for dinner. My entire focus was on the game. And let's say you have time trouble issues in a blitz game. You can do this experiment. Decide for yourself, if it's a 3-minute game, I am not going to go below the 30-second mark. If you fall below that deadline you have set for yourself, you resign the game. Just imagine, you have to resign in 10 such games. Your brain will do anything it can to avoid feeling that pain again of losing so much rating. So it will start thinking faster. You will start getting more focused. You will start spotting faster tactics. And when you have played those 100 games with 30 seconds less, imagine coming back to normal situation then. It will feel like picking up a 2 kg dumbbell after you have practiced with the 15 kg one. Super easy. And whenever you face this problem again in the future, you know what to do. As for this game, after my opponent played rook takes c4, I had a look at the clock. I saw it was 1:15 p.m. already. That meant I was 15 minutes past my deadline. So it was time to offer a draw. If my opponent would have rejected this draw, I would have resigned on the spot. So I got up from my seat, went and bought some water, came and stood next to the chessboard and drank it confidently. Then I sat down at the chessboard and thought for 1 minute, focused. And I confidently played the move b3 and offered my opponent a draw, looking him dead in the eye. My opponent looked at me, looked at his 11 minutes on the clock, looked at my 1 hour 30 minutes and quickly put out his hand and accepted my draw. Only if he knew, if he had rejected that draw offer, I would have resigned that instant. Dorel Her from France, if you're watching this video, you got played real bad, dude. If you had just played anything, I would have resigned.